more true scary horror stories and animated horror shorts, be sure to like and subscribe.
The first of the paranormal activity began around Christmas 5 years ago. Our pastor was over discussing some random church events with my parents. My mom had bought me a Jesus coffee mug for my cocoa, since I loved drinking cocoa in the winter. I was in the kitchen, scooting around them, trying to find it somewhere on the counter. I distinctly remember leaving it on the counter by the sink until I was ready to use it. My parents eventually walked the pastor out and tried to help me find it. No one could find it. It was not in the cupboards, not in the dishwasher. No one knew where it had gone. Later that evening, my father took out the trash after dinner. He lifted the can lid and was in mid-swing when he noticed my coffee mug sitting on top of the trash, the Jesus side facing down. The next day, my parents had the pastor back over and asked him to bless the house. My mother believed highly in ghosts and was sure that was what happened. My father was more skeptical. For a few days, nothing was out of the ordinary. It was a typical weekday. I was up in my room brushing my hair and getting ready for school. All of a sudden, I heard a slight shuffling come from my closet. Curious as to what it could be, because we did not have any pets, I walked over and opened the doors. Nothing but my clothes, shoes, and some soccer gear was in there. I got a sudden cold chill that caused me to hug myself and rub my arms with my hands to warm myself up. Then, as if directly in my ear, I heard a man whisper, "Help me." Quickly, I turned around to see who had just said that, but the room was completely empty. Almost immediately, the feeling of being cold subsided. The last experience I had was when my parents were out on a date and my brother was at a friend's house. I was home alone on my laptop, messaging some friends online and laying on my belly on the bed. I had the TV on low in the background. I heard the TV go quiet, so I looked up and it was off. I thought it was odd, but then maybe I hit the remote on accident? So I turned the TV back on and went back to messaging my friends. One of my friends typed something funny, so I laughed out loud. Just then, the clock radio on my nightstand flew off and crashed on the floor. I jolted upwards in the bed and looked around. I started to think my brother had come home early from his friend's house and was messing with me. I listened for a few minutes and heard no giggling or footsteps, so I picked up my clock, inspected it, and put it back on my nightstand. I laid back on my stomach and began messaging again. Nothing happened for about 20 more minutes, so I shook off what had happened earlier. I was thirsty, so I got up to head to the kitchen to get a soda. Just as I walked through the door frame and into the hallway, I heard my closet door slowly creak open. I backtracked my steps and backed into my room. The closet door was halfway ajar. That was odd. Honestly, I was pretty freaked out, so I didn't even inspect why it opened. I grabbed my laptop and stayed downstairs until my parents got home. About 10 minutes before my parents arrived, my cell phone rang. The caller ID said unavailable. I didn't answer it and let it go to voicemail. After I heard the phone ding, indicating whoever it was left me a message, I checked it. It was mostly static, but you can make out the same voice that had whispered in my ear before. It said, "Help me." I was freaked out and threw my phone on the carpet and waited on the couch for my parents to get home. When they got home, I showed them my phone and let them listen to the message. They heard it too. Then, the house phone rang. My brother had been in a car wreck on his way home and was headed to the hospital. They were not sure if he was going to make it. He didn't. He had too much head trauma and passed away in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. The time that they logged his death in the ambulance was the same time things were happening in my room. Was it my brother? Because weird things had already been happening before that. But since he passed, nothing strange has happened except that night. I wonder if he's watching over me.
Submit your own story on Reddit at Chilled Bones Writes, and thanks for watching our scary stories. For more true scary horror stories and animated horror shorts, be sure to like and subscribe.